The abstraction text about MCP is real thin. So MCP is a protocol essentially on top of HTTP that exposes some toolkits for your agents, and it has basically a lot of adoption in Cloud Code ecosystem, and there are some bridges and other attempts to implement the same exact stuff in the Codex and Gemini. However, I personally believe that MCP has a lot of disadvantages compared to a simple CLI tools in terms of complexity, context management, the usage of the tokens. So for instance, you essentially can achieve exactly the same behavior as MCP with two different approaches, at least two different approaches. One of them is to use a CLI tool for exactly the same interface that you want to expose automation to your Cloud Code or any agentic workflow. And another way is just to use a simple plain text skill as a text. And both of them has one disadvantage to MCP. In the case of the skill, you have this clear disadvantage that you should probably find a way how you share the credentials to access some private APIs. And inside of MCP, you have some built-in mechanism, but those are technical nuances. For the CLI, I think the complexity of the distribution that you probably need to compile or create some CLI distribution for multiple platforms, but the token overhead is real. So here's the chart. So we compare MCP to just a CLI implementation in terms of token usage. And you can clearly see that once you hit a certain number of calls, there is a line chart that's clearly going way above the line to the CLI usage. And CLI is usually faster. If you use a quick language for the implementation, maybe it's gonna be Golang or Rust or maybe Zig or even a shell script, that's much more faster than wrapping up a CLI and the server architecture, this STDIO, RPC, and the rest of stuff is just too complex for this implementation. And just one downside is how to manage notification, but not all the project needs to have this complex flow, or they can just store the rotating availability token to access private API somewhere in your system where you authorize explicitly. So for instance, that could be even keychain or some CLI for storing secrets, where as a part of text instruction from the skill, you can just pull the information and use either the step before you use a plain API call through the CURL or plain API call through another tool that you authorize to use from your agent. And that's basically it. You can see the full version of this research on the blog.